Hey basketball players and basketball fans, today I'm going to be breaking down Shaqir O'Neal's shot form or shooting form. Now, I did do a video a little while ago on LeBron James' son, Bronny James or Bronny Jr., his shooting form, and you'll probably see a clip right here, and you can go and click on that video link down below as well, and we've broken down his shooting form. So this is why I'm doing Shaq's son, Shaqir O'Neal. Shaq is one of my favorite players, his father, and I really looked up to him. I would love to play him one day one-on-one, but let's get down to understanding how Shaqir O'Neal is able to shoot the ball a ton, thousands of percentages better than Shaq himself. So let's get down to the clipboard and let's check out his shooting form. So here we have a warm-up. This is before one of the games, and what we have is Shaqir O'Neal taking a shot. Now, when he receives that ball, he is not paying attention to that ball at all. He is looking right away to the rim. So you know that he is understanding that you need to understand to look at the rim to be able to shoot the ball at a high percentage. Now, what we have here is his hands getting into shooting form. We have both feet squared to the basket, and he goes into his shooting pocket. Now, everyone's shooting pocket is different, but generally speaking, it's right at your hips. Now, we have a look at his feet. Both of his feet are pointing towards the rim. So he has squared up his lower body towards the rim. Again, both of his knees are also squared towards the rim, and they are slightly bent. And we are able to see that even back. As soon as he caught the ball, he went straight down into his shooting form. Everything squared towards the basket. He is looking at the rim. His shoulders are pretty well squared towards the basket. He has his right leg in front of the other. If only, there we go. We do have a little bit of a video clip where we have his toes on his right side ahead of his toes on his left foot. Now, that is going to give you power, and that is pretty well perfect shooting form. He brings the ball up, follows a perfect half circle up. He is not bringing the ball up across his chest. He is bringing it perfectly up. Following from there, he brings the ball. He's got his elbow facing the rim. And from this angle, it looks like his elbow is pretty well under the ball, almost. Now, some players will have a shooting form where their arm will go straight up and take that shot. That is my personal shooting form. There are some players who like to have their arm a little bit back like this. So, what this is telling me right now, if he wants to have a quicker shooting form, and I would not be surprised that in 2 or 3 years, he changes his form so that his arm goes straight up like this, or maybe just slightly on an angle, but not as far as he has it. The reason for this is when you're younger and trainers are teaching you how to shoot with somewhat proper form, generally speaking, this elbow gets sprayed way out and you're trying to shoot from your chest. That's so you can get power. Obviously, he's got enough power to get that elbow in what I call aim form, where you're aiming towards the rim. If your elbow is out this way, the ball's going to go out that way. If your elbow's too far in, the ball's going to go out left. His elbow is perfectly aimed, what looks to be perfectly aimed. We have this hand that is straight up, which is good, but we have this arm that's a little too far back. Now, you can 100% get into the NBA shooting like this. This is really great shooting form, and he's going to have a very high percentage shot. But if he wants a quicker shot, a little bit of a shot that's harder to get blocked in game, he would want to have this arm just a bit straighter. The reason for that, again, is just speed of the shot. Now, when he's releasing it, we notice that his hand comes off the ball before the right hand, which is good. You don't want to have that left hand helping out that right hand. Now, from there, we can see a little bit of space between his palm and the ball, which means that he's using his fingertips, which is good. You want to use your fingertips when you're shooting the ball. The reason for this is it's going to give you more control over where that ball goes. And let's see if we can go a little bit slowly. The footage does get a bit blurry, but generally speaking, you want it to be on your middle finger, the last finger of your hand. Now, the reason why you want the ball to come off the middle finger of your hand, if you can see my hand perfectly right now, you'll notice that the middle finger is obviously the longest finger, which means that if the ball goes off these two fingers, the ball has a higher percentage chance of going out right, and if the ball goes off these two fingers, your pointer finger and your middle finger, you've got a higher chance of the ball going out left. So you really want to have that ball go off that middle finger. That's going to give you a perfectly straight shot. Now, his arm looks like the elbow is underneath the ball, even though his arm is really far back just so that he can get more power on it. Later on in his career, he's going to probably want to have his arm just a bit straighter just so that he has a faster release. Now, again, you don't necessarily have to shoot like this instead of shooting like this. But if you're really wanting to have a quicker shot, if you're looking at the Ray Allens of the world, who are just ridiculously quick, high percentage shooters, you're going to notice when they shoot, they're shooting with a 90-degree arm, and that's going to give them a faster release. There's less room for this arm to travel, which means that it's a faster release. It's just basically a jump, extend the arm and release instead of it being a jump, extend, and also flick of the arm. That's going to give you a faster release. So if you're shooting like this, like Shaqir O'Neal right now, like this, then you're going to be wanting to see if you can try and practice shooting with your arm just a bit more square, because again, that's going to be a quicker shot. There's reasons why I'm able to shoot over some taller players, and that's because the quicker my release, the better, and that extra 4 inches or whatever it is does help a lot. And I learned that from a professional player who used to play over in the Philippines back when I was younger. So definitely a great tip. His name was Crazy Hands. I haven't talked to him for ages. I knew him from the YMCA, but we called him Crazy Hands because he was able to cross over the ball super low, super wide, and had a ridiculously fast release. But let's get back down to the clipboard. Now, with him releasing that ball, we just seen that wrist flick hard. That is what you really want to do. You want that wrist to really flick. Now, the reason why you want to have it flick is that's actually a perfect pause right there. We see that flick. Now, the reason why you want to have the flick is with that ball rolling off that middle finger, you want to have the rotation of that ball. So by flicking your wrist, this ball is going to be rotating in that direction. Why you want to have that is if it hits off the back of the rim, you have a higher percentage chance of that backspin slowing the ball down so that it bounces right back into the rim. While if it hits the front of the rim, that may mean that there's not a lot of arc on the ball, and because of that, it's going to hit the front of the rim and bounce over. But with backspin, you've got a higher chance of it hitting the front of the rim, slowing the ball down fast enough or slowing it down enough to be able to have it bounce inside the rim. Now, let's see the release point. That ball seems to get good arc. It's following the same, I'm going to call that a 45-degree angle, and generally you want to be somewhere in that range. And now he's able to finish with a swish. Now, why he was able to finish with a swish is because he had arc, obviously a straight shot because the elbow was underneath the ball, and he had it come off the middle finger, flicked enough, and it was a swish. That is a perfect shot. In my books, if I was teaching a player how to shoot and he came to me and said, hey, I want to shoot better, and he was shooting like this, I'd look at him and say, man, you have a good shot, don't worry about it, but I would fix just that part right there. That's the only thing I would fix, but I would definitely not be fixing it in the middle of a season. That is something that you would fix in the off season. Now, he is a really great shooter. He shoots at a very high percentage, especially for a high school student. He's probably going to go really far, and I would not be surprised if he made it to the NBA. And I'm going to tell you right now, this shooting form is really great. I want you to go outside or find a net that there's nobody else around, because obviously it's coronavirus right now and we really don't want to be interacting with a lot of people outside. But if you're able to get to a free rim and record your shooting form, or just go out into the driveway, if you don't have a net, have a parent or a sibling record your shooting form and see how you can match up against some of the best shooters in the NBA and how you can match up against players like Shaqir O'Neal. Anyways, I hope that this video has helped you shoot a basketball better. If it has, hit that like button, subscribe, and I'll see you guys again in our next video.